You are going to run a Dungeons & Dragons game tonight. Not next week, not when you finally read the player's handbook, not when Mercury's in retrograde. Tonight. Yes, you, even if you've never done it before. Especially if you've never done it before, and you're going to crush it. So what do you need? You need 3 things: friends, rules, and an adventure. That's it. That's 3. That's the whole list. Now, if you're watching this and going, oh no, I don't have friends. First of all, I believe in you. You're going to need 3 to 5 people in your life who would say yes to a night of snacks and sword fights. And maybe you have more friends than that. First of all, congratulations. No need to rub it in. But regardless of how wonderful your life is compared to mine, I wouldn't recommend over 5, and regardless of how many friends you actually have. I've run more than 5 at my table before, and I do not recommend it, especially if this is your first time. Now, the rules, you might be tempted to buy all 3 core rule books: the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. This thought might have even stopped you from trying the game, simply because that barrier to entry seems pretty high for something you don't even know if you will like. And you'd be right to have that thought. So please, for the love of your wallet, do not go out and buy all 3 core rule books right now. The basic rules are free, like actually free. Wizards of the Coast has them online. I'll put a link to these free rules in the description below. This has all the rules you need to run a simple game. And when you go to that link, you might look at it and say, oh no, that still looks like a lot. Do I have to read all that before I start playing? The short answer, no. Long answer, we're mostly going to use this as reference as we go, and I'll go over most of what you need, but when something comes up that I don't cover, you can refer to this document to figure out how to handle it. Later on, if you and your friends like this game, you'll find yourself in the weird position of wanting to read these rules, but you don't have to know any of that for your first game. Trust me when I say, because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm actually quite old. Next thing you're going to do is download some pre-generated characters. Also free. And again, I put the link to these characters in the description below. You'll print them out, slap them on the table, and let your friends pick who they want to be. Barbarian? Great. Wizard? Sure. Rogue? You know there's always one. Don't waste your first session on a character creation marathon. That's like throwing a birthday party and spending the first hour explaining how to inflate balloons. Just hand them out and let them decide on what their name should be. You should never decide the name. Okay, you've got the players, you've got the rules and the characters. Now you need the adventure. This is the part where a lot of people panic and think, oh no, I have to write War and Peace with goblins. No, you don't. All you need is something that lasts about 3 to 4 hours and gives your players some stuff to do. That's it. No world building, no history of dwarven agriculture, just something fun for one night. And we're going to do this together right now. Generally, in a single evening, players will get through about 5 encounters. That's our goal. 5 little chunks of the story. What's an encounter? Anything that stops them from walking forward and makes them think. A fight, a trap, a puzzle, an annoying door with a riddle on it. If it makes your players go, wait, what do we do? That's an encounter. We're going to make our adventure 3 combat encounters, 1 trap encounter, and 1 puzzle encounter. That should vary it up enough that the whole night isn't just a bunch of the same thing. Now, for your first-time players, the easiest bad guys in the multiverse are goblins. Goblins are like the fast food of D&D villains. They're everywhere. They're easy to handle, and nobody's sad when you smack them around. And frankly, everybody knows what a goblin is. If your players breeze through this first fight, just toss in more goblins. Instant difficulty adjustment. It's easy to make adjustments mid-game. For our first game, we're going to use the first part of the name of the game and design a simple dungeon. For our dungeon, we're going to use a free program called Dungeon Scrawl. I put the link to this in the description below. Again, later on, you'll want to make fancier and more elaborate maps. You'll have maps of worlds, cities, towns, and taverns in the town. But for our first time playing, we're going to use one simple map so players get a sense of where they are in relation to the other elements of our encounter. For everything else, we're going to use theater of the mind, i.e. our imagination. We're going to draw this map after I give you the hook for this adventure. And yes, I will put the link to this map in the description below so you don't have to draw anything. Just shamelessly steal my work, why don't you? Just joking. Maybe. So here's the skeleton of our dungeon. Remember what I've said here. It will be funny later. We're going to make an adventure called the Goblins Burrow. You're going to gather your characters into a tavern and tell them that they've heard rumors of a local shrine that's been overrun by goblins. The mayor has approached the party and asked them to clear it out so that the townsfolk can go back to properly remembering their dead loved ones. Then in a nice booming voice, you're going to say to your group of friends, "Do you accept this quest?" If they don't, I don't know. Maybe go out drinking. See if they'd rather play board games instead. Oh, maybe beers and board games. Wait, no, I'm getting off track. Yes, they accept. They have to. So you immediately transport them to the place near the shrine and tell them, as you approach the shrine, you hear two loud voices arguing about a game of dragon dice. What do you do? These are two goblin sentries, a completely original idea to have goblins on sentry duty. The party can either rush into combat, sneak up on them, and then start combat, or perhaps they could try to persuade or intimidate them away from the entrance of the shrine. Tell your players this. Let them know what their options are. You're all new to this. This is fine. Later, you won't lead players like this, unless they don't care about the many months you've spent working on your campaign, only to completely derail it by deciding that they want to romance and or pickpocket the main quest-giving NPC. Not that I would know anything about that. Let the players decide what they want to do and run this accordingly. Don't worry if you don't get something right according to the book. You can look it up later. And your players won't know because they're as new to this as you are. Just make it fun. And I just want to take a second to say that if you're finding this video useful, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I'd like more friends. Okay, so now we're going to get into the dungeon. Let's make a quick map. We're not going to show our players this map. This map is for us. So how do I show the players a map? Well, I either take a sheet of paper or graph paper if I'm fancy, or some sort of whiteboard. They even make whiteboards that have 1-inch squares already on them for easy map making. But that costs money and we don't want to invest any money until we've decided whether we like the game or not. So I'll put a link to some free printable graph paper in the description below, you know where. My recommendation is to print this out and draw on it for your players as they enter each area. Simple. So this is Dungeon Scroll, and this is pretty simple. It's easy to figure out. We're just going to draw squares on this. We're going to draw this little hallway that comes from the entrance outside, and then this is going to lead to our main room. So here, right? And we're going to just do that. And so now that's our main room. And we're going to have a couple of pews in there. We just type, we'll just search for pew. Bench. Yep. Okay. So we have a couple of benches in there, and we're just going to put a bench or two in there, right? And then let's flip that around. Okay. Let's copy that. So we have more than one. Let's move these benches back a little bit. And we're going to put a couple in here. All right. And here, and then we're going to put a statue. We're going to put a broken statue here. So this will be our statue. That's broken. We're going to have, maybe an altar here. So there's going to be there's going to be one goblin boss in here and two goblins that are looting the smashed statue. And there's not going to be talking to them, I'm afraid. So the only solution is going to be to fight them. And one of the corpses will have a note that says, "Moon follows sun, raven watches all." Your players will wonder what that means, and that's great because that's all part of our plan because we're building a mystery. All right, so now we go back to layers here. We're going to draw a little bit more room, so we're going to draw another hallway. And this hallway then is going to curve around. And this is where we're going to place our trap. So we're going to go back to images over here. We're going to say trap. All right. And remember, this is only for us. So we're not going to show the players this at all. Okay. So this trap is, the hallway is going to be it's going to be a bunch of, let's see, it's going to be a bunch of rugs, various rugs. And they're all going to look worn except one, because visitors know to jump over it. A fact the mayor forgot to tell you. Now that rug conceals a pit trap. If the players don't detect it, the first player will fall in a 10-foot pit and take 1d6 bludgeoning damage. So that is our third encounter. So for our fourth encounter, we're going to continue this little hallway here. And this is going to lead into another room. This is going to be our puzzle room. And it's going to be slightly longer and wider. And then we're going to put a door there. So they have to open a door. Okay. And we're going to say a door there. And this is going to represent a door. And let's see, what are we going to have there? This is going to be our puzzle. We're going to have a raised dais. Okay. So we're going to have a raised dais in the room. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to turn this. And we're going to put this dais up here against this wall. Okay. And this room looks a little empty. Let's put some pillars here. All right. And so on this dais, there's going to be some symbols on the floor. There's going to be 3 rune symbols of a moon, a sun, and a raven on them. Haha. And now it makes all sense. Now our players get it. If the players press it in the wrong order, 1d4 of shock damage. And if they press it in the right order, which is raven, sun, moon, a secret door opens that leads to another hallway. So let's put a secret door in here. Okay, there we go. And we're going to do a secret door now. And these secret doors don't play very well on this map. So we're actually going to do this bigger secret door here. And this is going to come off here. And now we're going to go back and we're going to draw our hallway. Oops, and we got to get the right, remember to select the right tool. Okay, now we're going to draw a hallway. And that's going to lead to our crypt room, to our 5th encounter. That's our last encounter here. Okay, and this is going to be a big square room we want to have. And we're going to put a door there as well. Door, and we're going to put a door there. Whoops. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Yep. Let's do that. And we're going to rotate this around. There you go. And so that's a door there. This is going to be our crypt room. We're going to say there's going to be coffin. So there's going to be a couple of crypts in here. And, oh. I want another pillar. I want another crypt. I want another coffin. There we go. Another coffin. There's going to be 2 skeletons and a necromancer's apprentice in here. Remember what I said at the beginning of our dungeon creation? So here's the skeleton of our dungeon. Yep, that's why I get paid the big bucks. Let's have this be a square dais. And it's going to be, actually, I was going to make it smaller, but I kind of like that size. So we're going to have the square dais. And so our princess will be over here. And on the dais behind him is going to be a burning black candle and a chest. And the players can either fight, or if they extinguish the candle, the skeletons are destroyed and the apprentice gives up and begs for his life. And the chest is going to contain 50 gold pieces, a +1 dagger, and a scroll of bless. And boom, just like that, you're done. So all we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and label these numbers. So we're going to label these as our encounters go. So we're going to take number 1. We're going to put number 1 outside because that's outside where our encounter with the sentries are. We're going to take number 2 and we're going to label this number 2, just so we know this is encounter 2. We're going to label this number 3 because we're going to make little notes about what each encounter is. And then 4, we're going to label this 4 so we know. And then finally, you guessed it, 5. And we're going to put 5 right here. So we know each of our encounters, we're going to make a little list we're going to write all this information down, like just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just show it. And then you have your encounters, and then you're going to run your encounters as your players go through them. It's really that simple, and you're done. So congratulations, you've made your first dungeon, and this will be available for download. I'll make sure to put a link to it in the description below. You know where this is. It's all in the description below. You know. Seriously, don't overthink this. This is not Broadway. This is pizza and pretend. Your job is to describe cool stuff, roll some dice, and make goblin noises. And when your players do something weird, which they will, you just say yes, or maybe, or okay, but roll for it. It's improv, not chess. And hey, if you get stuck, just ask yourself, what would make this more fun right now? That's your North Star. Not what would token do, not let me stop the game for 20 minutes while I look up what the rules actually say. Just fun. If your players are laughing, gasping, or cheering, you're doing it right. So that's it. Friends, rules, adventure. You are now fully equipped to run your first D&D game. And if it's a little messy, good. That's the charm. Nobody remembers the perfect session. They remember the time Steve tried to sell the Goblin sentries a timeshare one town over. Trust me. So print your characters, grab your snacks, and start your dungeon. You've got this. And most importantly, just have fun. You're a dungeon master now.